What's up? Dev Del Molino back today doing a review and analysis of this new Drake playlist, More Life. So finally, London Drake, Island Drake, Latino Drake, Houston Drake, and Portland Drake have finally all come together on one cohesive project, and that is More Life. You know, in this new project, I think Drake tries to encapsulate where he is in his own world today, and I think what we get from this album is it's still pretty darn cool to be Drake. And he's not necessarily going anywhere in today's rap climate, though it is ever changing. I think it was a good idea for Drake to perpetuate that kind of dynamic within his music, within More Life, because what I believe his biggest strength to be is winning and doing so in style. And in today's society, we admire the people who are winners and acknowledge and embrace the fact that they are winners. It's kind of the same reason why Conor McGregor is such a prominent fighter in today's sports world, is because he talks all this shit, but 9 times out of 10, he has backed it up with ease. And so the main point that I want to make in today's review is that More Life has a general direction and a big picture that I, as a Drake fan, want to and like to hear in his music. Because when it comes to Drake's music, I believe that the big picture is what's most important, and everything kind of falls into place if the general direction of his projects are in the right direction. Looking back on views, for me personally, it was definitely underwhelming, because for that project I didn't really understand what Drake was trying to accomplish there, and it was something that definitely trickled down to the music once again and made it sound kind of middle of the road, unsure of its direction, a little unambitious, and definitely there was a lack of progression amongst that project. With More Life, I got the sense that Drake wanted to embrace his status within hip-hop culture and his influence that he tends to have on the sound that surrounds that culture. Yeah, this may not be the most creative or dynamic way to go about making an album, but it harkens back to what I was saying is Drake's biggest strength, which is winning and looking good while he's doing it. And I think this album is definitely going to send its reverberations through the trends of hip-hop music making throughout 2017. Because again, going back to views, Hotline Bling and One Dance both had absolutely ginormous implications for the world of pop music. But when it came to hip-hop, nothing on that album really shifted or changed the way that we decided to make music for the rest of that year. Whereas with More Life, I think Drake is going to achieve in the hip-hop community what he did in the pop world with One Dance. I really don't think it's too far-fetched to believe that rappers are going to start embracing UK culture and Latin culture and island culture when it comes to rapping. Whereas I think last year, Drake just kind of made it popular for other artists to reach for the Billboard charts with an island-themed pop song. So yeah, I don't want to get too hung up on the details of Drake's sound and what he was going for on this album, because I feel like all the necessary things of a good Drake project are in More Life. I'm not really asking for Drake to set my musical palette ablaze, but what I want is for him to fulfill the role in hip-hop that only he can fill. So again, those are my general thoughts. I really like this album as a fan, and I think overall the album is good. There's only 2 tracks on here that I don't like, and I think that's where I'm going to go with this review from here, is talk about the songs that I loved and talk about the songs that I didn't like, because everything else in between is solid and what I would come to expect from Drake. First song I don't care for is the second song on the track list, No Long Talk. I think the reason I don't really like this song is just, again, in a general sense, it treads the same ground as the song before it, Free Smoke did, but Free Smoke did it better. The other thing I don't really like about this song is Gigs. I think Gigs is weird, and I don't know why he's featured twice on this album. Both his verses creep me out a little bit. The other track on this album that I just absolutely did not care for was Nothing's Into Something, and primarily because the instrumental is about as basic as it gets. And the snares kind of just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the drum goes 1, 2. And then for like 40 seconds in total out of the song, like that's all you're listening to. Like, no thank you. And amongst a track list of 20 songs that, in my opinion, are good or great, this is an easily forgettable track amongst this body of work. Now for the tracks that I really like. And I'm gonna go ahead and start it off like this. If you have a song on your album called Portland, that album is instant 10 out of 10. So if you're wondering how my rating system works, there you go. And just so you know, woodwind instruments are in style right now. Future did it, Drake did it. It's a thing. Get It Together is a track in which the dance hall drum beat is a bit cheesy, but you know, as y'all saw in the intro, I was getting down to it, so You know, it didn't take that much away from the track. What I really think makes this song is Georgia Smith. Her vocals on this album are a delicacy. On top of that, it's the piano work amongst this track that is just mwah. Skepta's interlude is excellent because Skepta is excellent, and if y'all know anything about how I feel about his most previous album, Konnichiwa, you would know that this was an instant positive on the track listing for me. Sacrifices is another track that comes on after Portland, and it features 2 Chainz and Young Thug. First off, I'm very happy to see Young Thug twice on this album. Both of his features, in my opinion, are great. And this song particularly is just kind of this quiet moment of flex. And this is one of those songs where it's 5 minutes, but it could be 10 minutes long and I would just rock with it the whole way. Blem and Passion Fruit are 2 more of Drake's Jafakin tracks, if you will. Both of these songs are super smoothed out, and for the most part is why I love both of them. But with Passion Fruit particularly, it comes after Free Smoke and No Long Talk. 2 songs that are very brute and edgy. And so Passion Fruit comes along and kind of breaks a lot of that tension, and it makes that song sound a lot more sweet. Finally, my most absolute best, most favorite track on this entire album is Glow with Kanye West. This is what I believe an impact track should truly look like within the context of a project. Glow kind of follows its own formula, and I believe the chemistry between Drake and Kanye is an absolute home run. But the best part about this track is Kanye's presence. And I'm kind of being one of those fans at the moment, but this really sounds like some old Kanye, and it brought an intense amount of nostalgia upon me. As a huge fan of both of these artists, I couldn't imagine a better collaboration between the 2 of them. So overall, to describe this album, you see where Drake's been visiting, you see who he's been working with, and you can easily tell how this album has been influenced, but he takes those influences, he flips them around, gives them their own Drake style, and thus they will be influential throughout this year. And I think the biggest thing that makes this playlist more enjoyable than an album like Views is that this album is intentional. It's easier to tell what Drake is trying to accomplish with this album, and he goes ahead and he accomplishes it, making this album a major success in my opinion. So I of course want to hear your guys' thoughts on this album, but particularly what songs did you enjoy? What songs do you think will be bangers for other people and for yourself on the radio or what have you? And amongst the songs that I really liked, did you feel the same way about them? With that being said, that's all I got for today's review. And as a lot of you may know, we have a lot of new albums coming in the near future that I will be reviewing. So go ahead and just stay tuned for that, and you'll just have to catch me then, okay? Dev Del Molino,